Hello and welcome to episode number 36 of The Closing Track, the podcast where the faith that you believe collides with the music that you love, along with anything else that happens to be on the road at the same time. We can then take those things and then cook them at whatever, if you like your steaks or roadkill medium rare, we can do that for you as well. I'm Austin, your host, and I'm joined with
Aaron.
Can I name you this time?
Go for it.
Can I name you the Screaming Worship Leader?
Without any context, that sounds so weird.
Without any context, they're just gonna be just like, what? But no. So we
you gotta tell that story.
Okay, so we do
context.
Since Brett is at the camp that must not be named, and he says hi to every one of you who listen to the show. We thank you that you're tuning in to us yet another week. He is at the camp that must not be named. We changed up when we record the shows during the week. We are actually recording these now on Thursdays, and then I'm taking time to edit the shows throughout the weekends just to give you the best listening experience that we can really do. So Thursday nights is when our church, Redeemer Christian Church in Amarillo, Texas, has worship practices, and we had also had a community group, like community fellowship, whatever, before worship practice, and I had made the comment that I'm more than willing to lend my death growls to Sunday morning worship services at some point. And then, as what song was it that you did those on?
I think it was Mystery, right?
No, it wasn't Mystery.
It wasn't Mystery?
What was the second song of that set?
Oh, yeah. I should know this.
Here Is Love?
No.
Wasn't Here Is Love.
Not Here's Love.
There was some song that you, just started screaming under your breath. And it was hysterical. It was so, totally hilarious.
King of Heaven.
Yes, that's what it was. King of Heaven. Yeah. By Paul Beloche. Yeah, that was really, really funny.
Yeah, it's a good Catholic.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But no, that was just, I'm just like, man, we got to introduce him as the Screaming Worship Leader because you don't know how to scream, but you just did it anyway under your breath. And the final product is actually really not that bad.
Thank you.
You just had to learn how to project and not shred your throat at the same time.
Maybe, no. We'll see. Maybe we'll do a demo and add it on to the show or something. No, and again, it's important to know that this was very, I don't know. We don't necessarily scream on worship music here.
No, definitely not. Although when I was at the camp that must not be named, I did make it a habit to scream during worship services at the camp, just because the volume was so loud that there was no way they could hear me, and so I just freely did it.
Nice.
All the time.
Nice.
I did get a couple of there were a couple of old people that would hang out in the back, and they would look at me just because they would see me making these more intense facial expressions while I sung, and so they would just look at me and they'd just be like, what the heck is possessing him right now? Do we need to do an exorcism in this camp?
Yeah.
Pull this person up to the front and exorcise this demon out of him.
I remember whenever I was at the camp that must not be named, because I grew up there as well.
Yeah.
I was just always I was Southern Baptist, so I was always I saw a lot of people raising their hands in worship. I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that.
What do I do?
What do I do here?
What's going on here?
Do I need to raise my hands? I don't know.
Do I clap? Do I dance?
So there was always this inner battle of I would love to express myself, but that...
Is that a sin?
Is that a sin to do? Yeah.
Is that a sin to express yourself in worship? I mean, in some instances it did get out of hand. It just depended upon the group. It really just depended upon who was there. Some groups would be, dancing and jumping and, whatever. And then there were some where, it's the most stoic, let's not show any emotion or any excitement worship service. And then the bands afterwards would just be like, man, they're all dead. We're playing these happy, upbeat camp songs, and they're just stone cold dead.
Yeah.
It was really, really funny. But oh man, funny worship stories. I'm sure we'll have to do an episode of funny worship stories, because I'm sure between the two of us.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure between the two of us we've got a ton of stuff.
We could fill a whole show with. It probably wouldn't be edifying to anybody.
No, it probably wouldn't, but it would just be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It would just be a lot of fun. Well, this particular episode, we've been really, really heavy, content-wise. the past couple of episodes. And so this episode, we're not gonna like just like do a joke episode or anything like that, but we are gonna this episode's gonna be a lot more laid back. And also, you if you've been listening to the show for a long time, you know Brett and you know me. We've long categorized our favorite things, whether that's beer or books or anime or sports teams. You already know those things about us if you've been listening to us for a long time. But Aaron's only been on the show, like, this is what, your 4th episode, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's only your 4th episode.
Right, yeah.
Hopefully of many, many more to come. And we wanted to give you a chance to get to know Aaron, to get to know, like, what he likes, what he doesn't like. And then we wanted to talk about making lists. Like, because that tends to be a thing if you're a music lover. You have lists of your favorite or least favorite artists, songs, albums. I mean, it just tends to be a thing in the music world to make lists.
And if you're a fan of music at all, I'm sure you've had this conversation. Like, what's your top 5 list that you like, people you have to see before you die?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't we ask that question?
Why didn't we ask that?
I don't know. That would have been a great question.
Great question to answer. Well, some of them in there actually. There's 2 of them actually in there that would make that list for sure. And my question with that. So we're gonna do 5 categories, and then we're kind of gonna break down why is it that we like choose the things that we choose. Like, what's the process that we use in choosing these things. We're gonna do genres because we've already done. You did your top 5 albums when you came on back in November.
I did, yeah, I did do that.
You did your top 5 albums back in November. We did an episode on it a while back as well. So we're gonna do genres. We're going to do musicians, like not necessarily like artists per se, but like musicians per se, and then concerts.
Concerts.
Yeah, and then just as for 2 fun topics. Just for fun, we're gonna do books, and then of course we're gonna do beer because I mean, guys, we love beer. This show has brought out the beer loving in me and Brett. Brett's already been a super huge fan of beer, but like just doing beer and drinking beer in the context of the show is we've learned to appreciate it even more. But if you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook at Another Ascending Lark. You can find us on Twitter at AALblog. You can send us an email at anotherascendinglark@gmail.com, and you can visit anotherascendinglark.com, but only for a little bit while longer. I know I mentioned in the last episode that we are moving away from Another Ascending Lark, and we are retiring that element of it. We're beginning to roll those changes out. I've started to acquire some of the platforms and property necessary to make those transitions happen, and so we're starting to get the ball rolling on that. But for the time being, until that's all ready to go, we're still going to use the Another Ascending Lark Twitter and Facebook page and email address and website name. So especially when we get to the end of the episode, when we introduce and start like our new question of the week segment, you definitely will want to get a hold of us through Another Ascending Lark for the time being, and we'll let you know when to start tweeting us and Facebooking us and emailing us with the new addresses. We'll give you plenty of heads up for that. But definitely, like when we get to the question of the week segment at the end of the episode, you'll definitely want to follow us, like us on Facebook, email us. Just get in touch with us so that way your tweets, your name, you get to be called out on the show, and yeah, you get to have a couple of seconds of fame and be forever immortalized on a podcast, because that's everybody's dream, right?
Yeah. Get your couple of seconds of fame.
Yes, a couple seconds of fame, and just have some diverse opinions, and let you listeners who have been just real faithful fans of the show, like, finally have a voice on the show. We want to get you guys involved. We want to get your voices heard and get your opinions on the air too. So yeah, follow us, and whenever the question of the week segment goes up, just hit us up. Like, we'll read your stuff on the show. We want to. We're looking forward to it. But all right, so lists, genres, top genres. I'll let you go first.
You want me to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. So my top 3, right? Top 3 favorite genres. How do you say that word? Genres.
Okay.
Genres.
Say it with
like
a nice...
Jean-Claude Van Damme, but genres. Okay,
yeah,
so
that's actually right.
Is it really?
It's
okay.
pretty close.
I was reaching there, so okay. So my top 3 from 3 counting down. I would say my third top genre of music is country music.
What?
And no so here's what I mean, and here's what I don't mean by that. Okay. What you hear on the radio, like Tim McGraw or I don't know, some people, Tim McGraw's
Brad Paisley.
Brad Paisley, like, okay, Miranda Lambert, all that new stuff. I really don't want to offend anybody, but most of the stuff coming out of Nashville that's being like highly played on the radio is not country music. It's like
really not.
It's pop with a twang.
Yeah, it's pop with a very artificial and fake twang.
Yeah, I'm talking about old school dirty country, like Hank Williams and
Ryan Colwell.
Roger Miller, and like Ryan Colwell.
Ryan Colwell.
Have you ever seen a dead man's hands? Hell no, you ain't. Hell no, you ain't. No one will remember you after the day you die. It ain't gonna matter if you work or if you try. There's a good man in the grave. They lay the devil by his side. And after all these years, there ain't no one.
And I never would have said that when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I never would have said that when I was a kid. But whenever I started growing up as a musician, the music that I was beginning to be drawn to just put me on a train, and the next thing I knew, I was headed straight for country music. So. and again, it's not my favorite type of genre music, but
it's my
number one is closely related. But so that's my number 3 is country. My number 2 is just rock and roll, classic rock. And what I mean by that is like
classic, like old school rock.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty. Tom Petty is one of my favorite bands of all time. Mm-hmm. It's hard to put words to nostalgia.
Yeah, it really is.
You could say. When I think of home, whenever I think of White Deer and Skellytown, I think of Tom Petty.
That's pretty good.
Because me and my friends used to listen to that all the time. I remember driving through fields. I can't go into too much detail with this story.
I know this story. You've told me this story.
Let's just say, I'll say half of it. We used to hunt rabbits on 4-wheelers, mm-hmm. and I might have been naked. I might not have been naked. with a tomahawk. And I remember that's the very first night I was in 7th grade. Seventh grade was a big year for me, Austin.
It was for me too.
And we would hunt rabbits, and they gave me a tomahawk, and that's the very first night that I listened to Tom Petty.
Wow.
And so ever since then, like classic rock, like especially lately, it's been a lot of Bruce Springsteen.
I have his it's a 5-disc LP on vinyl.
Do you really?
Yeah, his live.
Hold on to that, man.
It's a live album. But I'm trying to remember like what particular live album it is, but it's like 5 discs.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And so rock, not just classic rock, but just rock in general. Okay. Like I was a huge Silverchair fan growing up. I was a huge 9 Inch Nails fan growing up.
It's so weird.
It's really weird, isn't it? I know it's so weird, really weird. But I love rock music. Like Foo Fighters is a great example of that.
Well, it's an excellent example of that.
So that's my number 2.
Their last album aside, their last album sucked.
Yeah, it did. Sonic Highways, I wasn't a fan. And my number 1 genre of music is Americana music. Okay. And for those of you who might be wondering, like, what is that? Isn't that the same thing as country? Not necessarily.
No.
It's
not at all.
It's a genre of music that has its roots in early folk music and country music. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of people say like maybe Southern rock. It's not necessarily Southern rock. It's a certain like when you hear it, you'll notice it.
Yeah.
So Americana music is my favorite genre of music.
It's
the genre of music I find myself listening to the most. So
your tastes in genres are very American.
They are, yes.
They're very country, and they're very like South America too, like southern United States.
Yeah, southern United States. And again, like growing up, I've made a 180 degree shift from what I was in like high school and stuff. But yeah, man, I love our country. That's not like support our troops. No, nothing like I do like my brother's in the military. That was more of a joke than anything else. But yes, I do like music that makes me like 4th of July. I love it because I'm going to listen to Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty all day long.
Yeah,
that's what you do. Don't complicate it.
Don't listen to Taylor Swift. Don't listen to don't listen to that crap on country radio. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not afraid of saying it's crap. Like,
no, it is. I would agree with you.
Like it's garbage.
I would agree with you.
It's absolute garbage. Modern Nashville country, at least what gets put out, is just awful.
Yeah, Southern American music is it's great.
It really is.
I love it.
It's really good. My top three are probably a little bit strange. So number three, counting backwards from three, I would probably have to say that my third favorite genre would be folk.
Okay.
And I'm not talking like any particular like branch of folk. Like I'm not specifically meaning like Americana or Southern rock or anything like that.
There is a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. I'm meaning like, this is going to be the most cliche answer under the sun, but please forgive me. I'm talking like Mumford & Sons. I'm talking like the
Okay.
I'm talking like the Avett Brothers.
We'll allow it.
I'm talking the Lumineers. I'm talking Trampled by Turtles. I mean, that's what I have.
Did you just say trampled by turtles?
Believe it or not, they are a freaking phenomenal.
No, I believe you. That's just the
folk
most
group.
bizarre name I've ever heard.
It really is a bizarre name. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull up iTunes here real quick, and I'm gonna pull a sample of that. I didn't set this one up, but I want you to hear this. Yeah, Trampled by Turtles. So not like modern folk, I guess I could say, and that I have nothing against like old school folk. I'm just more familiar with the stuff that's recently come out. Here's a clip of a song from Trampled by Turtles off their album Stars and Satellites. This is called Risk. Yeah, so that track, it's pretty insane banjo action going on there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so that's, I know it sounds weird, like Trampled by Turtles, like it sounds really weird, but no.
I felt like I was being trampled by turtles when you played that. I see where they got the name.
That
makes perfect sense.
That's where this all came from. Okay, so my second favorite genre, and I'm gonna have to define this a little bit just because you're probably gonna get some weird bands are probably gonna come to mind whenever you hear this, but I'm gonna say indie as my second favorite genre.
That's super cool. Man.
Whenever I think of indie, I immediately think of Isley. Are you familiar with Isley?
I've heard the name.
Oh man, oh man, just because I just have to play them on my show. Let me go find one of my like early Isley crushing songs. So it's a family, like they're all like related to each other. There's 3 sisters and then 2 cousins, and they've been playing music. They've been making music since like they were kids. I mean, like in high school, making music together as a family. This is a clip off of their 2011 album The Valley, which was the first album by them I discovered, and I fell head over heels in love with it, despite the fact that it was an extremely, extremely depressing album. This is a clip from a song called Mr. Moon.
With the water rushing down my eyes, it was all that I could do. Oh, not to scream. Oh, but it's alright now that it's over. Oh, baby, this was the night. And oh, Mr. Moon shines down on my home. It's where I belong without you.
So I'm leaning more in the vein of like indie pop, or indie rock, I guess you could say.
I can get behind that.
Well, okay, if you can get behind that, so she's one of 2 lead singers. So that's one sister, and she always has like these really like crazy hair colors. Like she always like does her hair pink or blue, and just she's just really artistically minded. This is the other. Do I want to play a sample from that? Yeah, this is an example of the other lead singer, and she's got a pretty successful solo or budding solo career at the moment. This is from the title track of The Valley. This is the other lead vocalist.
Heartbreaker, come and take me to the real heartache that everyone's talking about. You see me, then you don't, but get it right. I don't believe in magic.
got this really like rustic, like not distorted, but just very. Her sister is very smooth, very crisp, very like clean, and then that's just a little bit more like rustic. Their stuff is awesome. So when I'm meaning indie, I'm meaning more like indie pop. I'm not necessarily talking like the really obscure, like really weird crap that sometimes passes off for indie. That's just strange music to listen to. But I'm meaning more like, I guess, indie pop or indie rock as my second favorite genre. Other bands that I would say I really enjoy would be Churches. Are you familiar with Churches?
The Chicken?
No, not the Chicken.
Okay, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Churches would be an example. I would consider like Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors to be.
Oh yeah, okay.
Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors.
That's a great band.
That is a great band. Have you ever heard of the Ember Days, by chance?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I need to give you their music because they give their music away for free. So I'm going to give you their music, and you'll thank me later. My favorite genre, though, my all-time like favorite genre, and this is not a recent this is something that I've just had to settle on. Would have to be progressive metal, like prog metal. And what I mean by prog metal, like I'm meaning everything from like Rush, back in the day, like Rush.
Oh, Rush is such a great band.
Rush is such an amazing band. Oh my gosh.
But they're not metal.
They're not metal, but they're progressive, and so
Okay.
it's not necessarily that the metal part; it's the progressive part of it. So bands that were like prog rock in the classic rock era, I would fit under this as well, but I lean towards more metal than rock.
Would Mars Volta be
Yeah.
considered prog rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Majorly so. Yeah. So Opeth, Dream Theater, Ne Oblivis Caris, which we covered them last year. They're really good. Scar Symmetry, but they're more death metal as of late. Winter Sun, oh gosh, Winter Sun is amazing. Yeah, there's just a bunch of really, really good bands. Yeah, so I would have to say progressive metal as my all-time favorite album. So, okay.
Very cool.
Let's go through like, what did I tell you next we were going through?
You had musicians, and
Yes.
then there was concerts, beer, books.
Let's do a non-music one. Let's do books.
Okay, let's do books.
So top 3 books.
Oh man,
This was hard.
we
This was
really didn't
difficult.
specify either. We didn't say like nonfiction or fiction. So
Okay, the only ground rule: Bible is excluded. Like
Bible excluded. Okay,
I've got my top 3.
you go first. Go first.
Okay, so in reverse order, The Valley of Vision, which
Oh yeah, it's great.
The Valley of Vision, which is not really done by any one particular person. It's a collection of prayers, of Puritan prayers. Really good. Like I highly encourage it. Every Christian have a copy of it just because to read from it and pray from it. It's really good. The Christian Faith by Michael Horton. I've talked about him on the show a couple of times. I love Michael Horton. His work is extremely influential in my life. And then Tactics by Greg Koukl. I probably have given away more copies of Greg Koukl's book Tactics than probably I've given away Bibles.
Wow.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing because like there is no greater book on how to learn how to do evangelism and how to do apologetics than that book, and it's short, like it's microscopically short, like literally there is nothing better than it on the planet.
Wow.
It's widely considered to be one of if not the best book on like apologetic methodology in terms of like talking with people. Like it gives you like actual practical conversation skills, skills that I use like every day, like in everyday conversations. Like it teaches you how to talk to people who disagree with you, people who are hard to talk with for whatever reason or another, and it teaches you how to do that and like get to share the gospel and defend the faith in the process. And so those are my top 3. What are yours?
Interesting. Okay. So whenever we made these topics, we didn't specify
We really
if
did.
they were going to be nonfiction or fiction.
We really
So
did.
I kind of have like, I have 2 fiction and then 1 nonfiction.
That's
as my top. So
fine.
so okay. So my from our third, from number 3, I would say Revelation. It's a short story by Flannery O'Connor. If you've never read her, I really suggest it. She's a Southern Gothic.
Yeah, I've heard of Flannery O'Connor.
Revelation is a short story. I
check
don't
it
want to
out.
give it away because it's so short, and also just read it.
So short, you just spoil it for. Oh gosh, country man! I'm now having flashbacks because when I worked at a grocery store, the very first job that I had, pretty much any country song that came out between like 2007 and 2009, I can still like quote verbatim. because I was a stalker at a grocery store, and like there were speakers over the aisles, and they played like country satellite all day, and so anything like Taylor Swift or Carrie Underwood put out from like 2007 to 2009, I can probably still quote verbatim.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Oh gosh, those were really, really dark years. Those were really dark years.
I'll say that.
That's fair.
The Road. Yeah, Cormac McCarthy. If you have not
such a good book.
read that, go for it. My
It's not
number
an easy.
one.
It's not an easy book. Just forewarning.
It's not.
an easy
It's not.
book.
It's out of most of his books, it's the most approachable.
Very true. Very, very true.
I have Blood Meridian on here, but I was like, no, I don't want to recommend that one. Although it's fantastic.
It's a great book.
And my number one would be Confessions by St. Augustine.
Oh man, I honestly think that should be required reading for like Christians who are like wanting to go into like any kind of ministry track.
I think so too.
I think that should be mandatory reading.
Yeah, I read it, and it was just kind of the right thing for me at the time. It was really helpful.
It's such a good book. Not the easiest of reads, but I mean,
No.
depending upon the translation you get, it can be really difficult. But it's so good. Let's do concerts.
Concerts.
I went first last time. You go first this time.
Okay, my top 3 concerts. Don't laugh at me.
I'll try not to laugh at you.
Okay, a lot of people will. I can hear you laughing
I'm
in your
trying,
car.
I'm trying not to.
No, I can hear everybody else laughing.
Oh, okay.
They're all gonna laugh at you. My top 3. Okay, so David Matthews Band. I saw him twice. I saw him in.
What's the laugh about that?
Well, a lot of there's certain, how do I say this? David Matthews Band fans get made fun of quite a bit by some people.
Okay.
I really enjoy him. I enjoyed the band, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Musically, it was just like, holy cow. These guys are
worth laughing at.
all really good. They're all really good musicians, and I was also with my brothers, and so it was just a great time.
Yeah.
It was really fun. So David, and they all make fun of us for saying Dave Matthews Band.
Dave Matthews, man.
You don't know him. It's not Dave. It's David Matthews Band. So I say that. The number 2 would be Sufjan Stevens.
Oh man.
I saw him with my roommates in, where was it? It was in Dallas. Back when he had his last Christmas album out.
Oh yeah.
The one with the Christmas unicorn.
Yes.
And okay, so I had an experience at this show that I've never had. It wasn't a spiritual
It was
experience.
like a mystical experience.
It really was. Like, we kind of all felt. I didn't stop smiling the entire time they were playing, and they had this huge like Wheel of Fortune wheel that they would spin, and it had different songs on each one. And if it landed on a song, we all sung it together, and a lot of them were Christmas carols.
That's
So
awesome.
we sung like "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," and it was so awesome because
pretty cool.
It was really cool, and they were dressed up. There was confetti, there were pink unicorns. It was really weird.
Because it's Sufjan Stevens.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but it was also one of the funnest times I've ever had in my life.
So I want to see
Sufjan
him.
Stevens.
I want to see him live.
It's worth it.
It's
totally worth it.
But here's this though. I don't know if I want to see him perform songs from Carrie and Lowell.
I think I'd be down with that.
I don't know. I would just want to cry. I would just want to like burst into tears like in front of everybody. Like that'd be. Oh man, like. I don't know.
You walk out to go to the restroom and some dude's like hanging himself. Like, it's too much.
Just shoot my brains out. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Which is a great album. It's a fantastic album. But
yeah.
So Sufjan Stevens, if you have the chance to see him, especially during Christmas time,
Yes.
do it.
He's.
It was around Christmas time when we saw him, and it was awesome. Okay, so and then my number 1 concert would be Patty Griffin.
Really?
Patty Griffin.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, I saw her. I've seen her twice at the House of Blues in Dallas, and then once for my birthday in Norman, Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
And it was really good. Buddy Miller played with her the first time. The second time it was just her on the acoustic guitar, which was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But the first time she had a full band, and Buddy Miller is one of my favorite all-time musicians. Mm-hmm. I want to play guitar like him.
Yeah. He's so good.
But as a band, that's when kind of like it was the lever for me for Americana music. That's when I was like, I cannot turn back.
Yeah, that was the watershed moment.
Yes, exactly. So, and she's fantastic. If you've never heard of Patty Griffin, check her out. Especially if you're looking for an album to check her out, I would say start with Is it 1,000 Kisses or 10,000 Kisses? I can't remember the name of it.
It can't be 10,000 because Matt Redman did that.
Probably 1,000. Try 1,000 Kisses.
1,000 Kisses.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I'll definitely have to check that out. Let's see. So my list is pretty short. So starting from the reverse, starting in 3 and working up. Everything else, like every other show that I've seen, like not counting the next 2, fit into this category, and such names include Becoming the Archetype, which we had Jason Wisdom on a couple weeks back, and that was a lot of fun talking with him. Hope for the Dying. Oh my gosh, that show. Oh my gosh. So it's in Lubbock, right? And so I go down to Lubbock for this show. If a band is touring and a band writes a single 53-minute long song for an album, and it's like musically cohesive, it's very easy to listen to, but it's one unified work, and they say they're going to play the entire album, like start to finish, on this tour, is it a rational thing to book 15 local opening acts before them?
No. Speaking of hanging myself in the bathroom,
So I'm not.
I don't think I can make it through that.
So yeah, so I'm not kidding. Like the show started at 7. They didn't get on till midnight, and they didn't even get to play their whole set because it was midnight when they started playing. Everybody had left by that point.
Wow.
I was unbelievably pissed off because they had infinitely more talented than every single other band that played combined.
Yeah.
And just
Note to the wise, if you're headlining a show, like no one wants to come for the opening bands.
well, especially like when there's these bunch of like no-name like local acts. The very first band, oh my gosh, I will never forget this. The very first band was like this chubby high school kid, like for a lead vocalist.
Is that the name of the band?
No, but I wish it was.
Chubby High School Kid?
That's actually a really good name.
I got it. I'm stealing it.
You got it? Okay. Yeah, this chubby high school kid for a lead vocalist. He strips down to his SpongeBob SquarePants boxers midway through his set. That's how much they sucked. That's how much talent they had. They had to their lead vocalist had to do like a striptease in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was awful. So Hope for the Dying includes in category number 3. All Sons and Daughters, I'm going to put them there. Their show was fine, but it was also like, I wish it was longer. It was way too short.
Oh, really?
It was a short show. It really was. I wish it had been a lot longer. So number 2. Number 2 was when I got to see Joe Bonamassa, which, oh man, that dude can play guitar like no one's business. Like, oh man, you need to go listen to the album that he dropped last year, Different Shade of Blue. You will be all over it. Like, you will be all over it. It's
I'll
such
take
a
you
good,
up on that.
Yeah, you need to go listen to it. It will totally rock your world. Most expensive show I've ever been to. It was like $85 for nosebleed. Like,
Wow.
played here in Amarillo too.
At the Civic Center?
Yeah, at the Civic Center.
Really? Back
Yeah.
when they were still doing... I saw Sugar Ray there.
Really?
That was my first concert ever, Sugar Ray, the Civic Center.
My very first concert ever was Phil Wickham and Charlie Hall, which Charlie Hall...
That's not bad.
I hadn't heard of Phil Wickham before. We were there to see Charlie Hall. Funny story, like my guitar teacher was actually personally mentored by Charlie Hall. Like the guy who taught me guitar and who signed 2 of my guitars, personally was mentored by Charlie Hall. So
Nice.
It was awesome.
Very cool.
But anyway, Charlie Hall, great set, and then Phil Wickham came out and blew everything away with his first song. Like that dude knows how to play.
He
live.
does, and
He's so good.
he can carry a room and can lead.
I mean, we were just blown away. But
Yeah.
and
He
then-
came a few times to North whenever we were at North.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. My number 1 concert though, and this like just has a lot of like emotional whatever with me, would be when I saw John Mark McMillan, Chris August, Gungor, and David Crowder. I will never forget that show. Like John Mark McMillan, awesome. Like just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Chris August, like okay, so Chris August, he did his set in halves. Like he did half his set, and then Gungor did their set, and then Chris August came back and did the rest of his set. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like it was really, really weird. Well, after Gungor plays their set, and Gungor just did an acoustic set, musically the most mind-blowing thing I visually have ever seen. Like unbelievably good. Michael Gungor, despite my present intense disagreements with him on pretty much everything pertaining to God and Jesus, is a phenomenal musician and a phenomenal guitarist. Like they played You Are the Beauty live, which that's got a really extended acoustic guitar solo at the end. And he played better than some metal shrugged guitar players that I've seen play. It was unbelievable. It was so good. And then Chris August comes out and he's just like, who wants to play after that?
Yeah, let's follow that.
Just wow. But Chris August was really good. And then Crowder came out, and oh man, I got such an emotional attachment to David Crowder, to all of their stuff. So that was just that was their final tour as a band, and so that was just really bittersweet. And yeah, that was a great show. I will never forget that show. So good. Beer.
Beer. Okay.
I wish we could be drinking beer right now, but oh well.
Yeah.
What's your top three? Give us
Top
your
three beers.
I'm pretty sure I've given my top three at some point in time throughout the history of the show. So you go first.
Okay, my top three favorite beers. I had this for the first time when I was in Dallas. It was actually after the same night that we saw Patty Griffin. Delirium Nocturnum. It's a Belgian strong ale. It's 8.5 ABV. It's by a brewery in Belgium.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, Delirium Nocturnum. Really great beer. If you can find it.
If you can find it.
If you can find it, check it out. Number 2 beer, I had this in Denver, Colorado at the Great Divide Brewery in downtown.
Yes.
And it, surprise, surprise, if you know me, espresso oak aged Yeti. It's an imperial stout.
I haven't had it, but I want it so bad.
Oh, I don't have the ABV here. It's strong.
It's
Let's
strong.
say that.
Yeah, it's strong. It's very strong.
It's a kick in the teeth, man. I'm not gonna lie, but it's also nectar from the heavens. If you're at all a beer fan, it's definitely not for. It's not for everybody.
If you like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, this might be too much for you.
If you think of a mythical creature like a Yeti, what beer would a Yeti drink?
Oh, that's a fascinating question. That's gonna bug me all that long.
He'd probably drink a Yeti.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So if you can find this here in Amarillo.
So is it like liquid cannibalism then?
That's a great thought. Yeah. No. If we ever find the Yeti, we need to ask him. We need to see if he'll drink it. This is so dumb. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And my number 1 favorite beer of all time is Aramita No. 5. It's an American wild ale by Avery Brewing Company.
Avery.
And, in Boulder, Colorado.
Avery is so good.
6.5% ABV, and I had this. I think they only serve it in the tap room.
Really?
And they actually just opened up a new brewery.
Really?
Yes.
I
don't know
that.
exactly where they opened it up. It's somewhere in Colorado, but yes. I always tell those. I used to go on a bunch of brewery tours, like once a year. Like me and a bunch of friends would go down to Colorado, and we try to tour as many breweries as we can in a weekend. And I think we hit up like 14.
Whoa, that's insane.
Yeah, and they're all great. It's really, really good. But Avery has always stuck out to me.
Avery's good.
If I wanted to work for a brewery,
you'd work for Avery,
which I've thought a lot about.
Brett and I we actually have seriously toyed around with starting a brewery of our own. We really have.
That'd be cool.
If you want in on that,
I've had some of your homebrew.
If you want in on it,
I'd buy some. Yeah, Aramita No. 5. So if you're ever in Colorado and you ever find yourself near the Avery Brewing Company, check it out. It's worth trying. It's a sour ale, almost like American wild ale. It's very sour, and you kind of have to be a beer fan to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think. So if you're just starting out with craft beer, I would not recommend this beer to you at all.
What would you recommend for a fresh craft beer?
I would recommend Fat Tire.
Okay, I was thinking some.
That's like honestly, that's the amber ales are my favorite beers. They're just so drinkable and.
Wait, so you would recommend Fat Tire over 90 Shilling?
Ooh, that's a good question. Depends.
Because I would honestly recommend 90 Shilling over Fat Tire.
I think I still might take a Fat Tire, just because
both are good.
Just because I toured I toured both places.
Okay.
Odell and New Belgium, and I had a New Belgium Fat Tire right off the line.
Oh gosh, that sounds awesome.
And it was I haven't had an experience like that before. It was not because of the alcohol, although we did slide down a slide at the end of the tour. is really interesting. If you ever find yourself there, you can do that. But we
What?
went to Odell. We went to Odell Brewery and toured their facility, which is great. Check them out. Really great stuff. 90 shillings blew me away. So good. There's nothing wrong with that beer. I love it. But then we walked right across the street because they're right across the street from each other. We went to New Belgium. And man, I just got this emotional connection with New Belgium.
New Belgium is fantastic.
So they take you on this tour, this really, really elaborate, really cool tour with, and then at the very end of the tour, how you leave the tour is you go down this slide, this metal slide.
What is this, like McDonald's or something?
Almost for adults. And by that time, I do not endorse. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. It's a lot of fun. If you find yourself in Fort Collins, go to both of those places. You're not going to regret it.
That's awesome. So my top three. I'm gonna go ahead and just say, like, if I were to intro somebody into craft beer, I would do a Deschutes Black Butte Porter.
That was on my list too, actually.
That was
my
on
top five.
That was on your top five. Yeah. It's a good thing we didn't actually do like five, because we're like 40 plus minutes in and we still got more to go.
Yeah. That's a great beer.
That was the first porter I ever had. It was the third beer I ever had, and it was the first porter I've ever had, and it's still my favorite porter, like bar none. Like there are other good porters. I've had plenty of other good porters, but actually that's number 3 on my top 3 is Black Butte by Deschutes.
Such a great beer.
By Deschutes. Number 2 is also a Deschutes beer, and it would be the Fresh Squeeze IPA, which
You just need to make a trip up there and go.
I know. I want to visit Deschutes
tour their brewery.
so much. I probably would say with strong safety that like Deschutes is my favorite brewery. Like that would not be a hard statement for me to make.
That is not a bad decision.
No, really everything they make is just really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Fresh Squeeze is like, when I think of like a citrusy IPA, that's what I think of. Like, you can taste the grapefruit, you can taste the lemon, you can taste the lime. It's got such a nice tang and tart to it that really just complements the hops. Oh gosh, I want some right now, actually. But my number 1 all-time favorite beer, and I literally would empty my bank account if I could get a 4-pack of this right now. If somebody had a drinkable 4-pack of it, I would probably empty my bank account to get it. Is Founder's Breakfast Stout. Like,
I have not had it.
oh my gosh, you have not had Founder's Breakfast Stout.
I have not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I've had a Yeti. I have had a Yeti. Brett bought me a Yeti after I had my surgery earlier in the year. I don't think it was the same one that you were talking about, but it was definitely an Imperial Stout, and it was a Yeti.
Yeah, there's different variations. Of
Okay. The Founder's Breakfast Stout is better than a Yeti.
Those are some bold words, my friend.
They are very bold words, but I stand by them. And I know if Brett were here, he would say the same thing.
Okay.
It's white. It's got like I don't know if you check out Beer Advocate, like the website that like rates beers and reviews beers and stuff.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Perfect 100s from both users and critics.
Wow. I'm gonna have to find it.
But-
Where can I find this, Austin?
In Amarillo, but it's seasonal, and it's a winter seasonal.
Oh.
So it showed up in November, and I haven't seen any since mid January. So
Okay.
So whenever November rolls around, I will be like a hawk looking.
Can you
for
drink
this.
it with breakfast at the same time keeping your dignity?
It's 8.3, so it's
Okay.
it's a pretty intense stout. It's 8.3. So you would want to actually eat a breakfast. You actually want to eat.
I have a piece of toast and a breakfast.
But no, I would like, if I could only drink one beer for the rest of my life, without question, Founder's Breakfast Stout. I would put it at the same category of drink as coffee.
Really? Wow. I believe you. I believe you.
Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, so the flavor profile of this is like the most complexly nuanced thing I've ever tasted. The coffee, the chocolate, the cinnamon. Oh gosh, there's just so many flavors in there, but they're perfectly balanced. It's got the perfect amount of carbonation for a stout, and it's got these beautifully delicious like dark red bubbles that just endlessly fizz up to the surface, but only go about half an inch up. Whenever you pour this thing, it doesn't ever overflow. Like, you don't fizz overflow, but you never run out of fizz. Like, you never run out of a head. and oh gosh, I want some right now just talking about it. It's like it may be the best
All
drink.
this is making me thirsty.
Yeah, it may be the best drink I've ever had. Like anything I've ever tasted in my life is Founder's Breakfast Stout. If I could only drink one beer for the rest of my life, without question, it would be
So
Founder's Breakfast Stout.
what you're saying is you hope they serve it at the wedding supper at the Lamb. Is what you're saying.
I need to tread very lightly with my remarks here. I need to tread very, very lightly with my remarks here. That would be nice.
Okay.
I'll just say that would be nice.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start getting into musicians. Like
Okay.
top 3 musicians
Top 3 musicians
that have influenced, that mainly like influenced you as a musician, or just musicians that you like to listen to. Mine are like mainly like musicians that are influenced me, but go for it.
Okay. Okay. I would say my top 3 would be, starting at number 3 would be Buddy Miller. I've
Okay.
already mentioned him.
Yeah.
Really great guitar player. He's played for a lot of people, Patty Griffin, Emmylou Harris, and him and his wife are musicians as well. Like they come out with their own stuff. So
Right.
check them out. Number 2 would be Steve Martin.
Oh my gosh, the banjo player.
Yes, that's Steve Martin.
That's Steve Martin.
Father of the Bride and
Three Amigos.
Three Amigos.
Three
Oh,
Amigos.
so good.
Such a oh man, one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yes. And if you didn't know about Steve Martin, he is a phenomenal banjo player.
I have his album. Like it's really
Yeah,
good.
Love Has Come For You, the one that he just came out with
Oh, he had a new one?
in 2011.
No way.
It's my favorite album maybe in the last 5 years.
Wow. I didn't know
Love
that.
Has Come For You with gosh, what is her name? I'm sorry, I just blanked.
That's
but
fine.
Love Has Come For You. Check it out, Steve Martin. And I play the banjo, and I kind of have like been growing
Getting
my
better at
taste
it.
in that. Yeah, so he's number 2, and I just love him. I love his personality. And my number 1 would be Ryan Adams. If I could play guitar like anybody, it would be a mixture of Ryan Adams and Buddy Miller.
That's a fascinating
Just because
combination.
he's such a dynamic musician. Like he can play. Like I think he just came out with a punk rock CD. He's a huge fan of metal. And
That's
but
insane.
he primarily plays Americana music.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
he's diverse.
very diverse.
Okay.
Yes, he's an interesting character,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
I mean, he does, cuss people and, cuss at people and throw them out of his
He
shows.
does. I think he's gotten a little better at that. Not doing that. But I've seen videos of his live shows, and it's just they're almost euphoric. It's just they capture you. If you're a musician, you just like can't help but be amazed. So
Okay. So my top 3 would be Matt Smith from Theocracy, which I hope that because Theocracy has an album coming out this year, it's their first new album in 4 years. They re-released their first album. They remixed it and remastered it back in 2013, and it was so good, so good. But they have a new album of new material coming out sometime this year, and I would love to have Matt Smith on the show. Like that would make. I would just stop podcasting at that point. I'm just like, I've talked to all the people, like all the really awesome people that I really look up to. I'm done. I'm just gonna retire.
Yeah.
But no, Matt Smith, like his abilities as a songwriter, he's without a doubt my go-to paradigm for good songwriting that is extremely deep theologically. Like his lyrics are without a doubt my standard for evaluating like quality lyrics from Christian musicians when it comes to the way they're written, like how good of lyrics are these, and then the depth of their content. I mean, Mirror of Souls, and Brett and I have mentioned this countless times. Like I truly believe that Mirror of Souls, the track by Theocracy off their album of the same name, is without a doubt the best work of art that a Christian has produced in the past 30 years. Like I would stake the show on that.
wow,
Like I'll have to.
that is a bold statement.
Have I sent that song to you? I may have sent that to you at one point.
I think you did. Yeah.
Okay, I would send that to you at one point in time. Every time I listen to that and just pour over the lyrics, I would almost say that it's like inspired. Like it speaks to me in new ways every time I hear it. It's just really weird and blasphemous, but I mean,
a little bit. Yeah.
just a little bit blasphemous, but I mean, really, like, okay, so Matt Smith. Number 2 would be David Crowder, just because he's so weird. He's just such an oddball, but he really raised the bar for like making creative music in the worship scene. Like he really did raise the bar for that, especially when he started coming out with everything, because he was really involved with the Passion Worship conferences. And I think he still is, just by himself. But the other artists that he plays with on the Passion Worship conferences, I know they love Jesus, and I totally count them my brothers and sisters in Christ. So please don't take this as a diss on them personally. They can't hold a candle to David Crowder. Like, no, I'm sorry. They are not even in the same playing field as musicians and as songwriters and even as worship leaders as David Crowder. So I would definitely say that I draw a lot of inspiration from him. But number one, if I could be like anybody, it would be Mikhail Ackerfeld from Opeth.
Opeth, okay.
From Opeth.
Out of all the metal that you have introduced me to, I kind of really enjoyed Opeth.
They're so good.
Yeah.
And here's the amazing thing. Like, okay, so I think I've given you. Did I give you a track named Hessian Peel? Was that the name of one of the songs that I showed you once upon a time?
It might have been.
It might have been. Okay. I don't remember what songs I've given you, but he writes those songs, and he doesn't know a lick of music theory. He's never had a day of music theory training in his life, and he's been with Opeth since its foundation, and Opeth has been around for like 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a long time for a band to be around.
And yeah, but he just sits down and just writes what's in his head. And that's what comes out. And that's who I want to be. Because I don't have much in the way of music theory training. I've had a little bit, but not very much. And even if I don't want to like replicate his style of music, the level of creativity and the way he's able to blend like metal with jazz and with folk and with blues, and make it sound totally natural. Like, I want to take that principle of like high quality integration. It's both the sound and the principle behind the sound that I really draw a lot of inspiration from. And that might explain why I haven't written anything, just because I can't do it yet. that would probably explain that. But so no, Mikhail Ackerfeld from Opeth is without a doubt my favorite like personal musician, and I wish I could be like him. That would be really weird, but awesome, also really cool. So man, like, we got a full episode out of this. Like, you pitched this.
What are we at?
We're at 54 right now.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't really have much. We didn't know what we were going to do yesterday, right?
Yeah, because our plans kind of changed last minute. Because we were gonna have a friend of ours come join us for the show, but she wasn't. We were gonna have the first female guest that the show has ever had.
About time, Austin.
I know, like, we got to break the cycle.
2015, the glass ceiling is broken, my friend.
I mean, we got to get the sexism in this show taken care of. Like, we have got to get some females on this show.
Come on.
Especially when like they're like freaking amazing musicians too. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, you're playing with her tomorrow. Like,
I am, yeah.
You're playing with her tomorrow. I'm so excited to. This will be the first show I've actually gone to see at Palace. That'll be.
She's great.
Yeah. Oh,
she's an old friend. I love her.
She's awesome. Like, I think very, very highly of her.
And her husband. You should have her husband here on too. Like,
I want to have her husband on here.
Makes it for some good conversation.
And not just because he plays with all sons and daughters. Like, there may not be any, mild incentive to have someone from All Sons and Daughters on the show. But yeah, so our plans just kind of changed, and so we're just like, yeah, let's just like list. Like, we were gonna go into like why we choose these things, but we got a full episode of this, and I honestly didn't think we would. So good job. Like, we got a full episode out of this. So let's get into recos. You got a.
Oh wow. I didn't think about this. Okay.
You got a reco for us?
You go first. You go first.
Okay, I can go first. I actually have a reco this time. I am going to reco the TC Electronic Tone Print pedal line. I may have recommended this once upon a time. I can't remember if I did or not. But if you're a guitar player and you like customization with your pedals, and if you like pedals that are just really small, real small footprints, don't take up all the space in the world on your pedal board, but are completely customizable, like not just in studio, but live on the go, on the fly. I cannot praise the TC Electronic pedal line enough. I have their reverb, the Hall of Fame reverb, which is an excellent reverb, a lot of options. I've got their Flashback X4, which is a 4-unit delay pedal. I mean, it's huge, it's gigantic, but it's got so many options with it. And then I just picked up today the Corona Chorus. You saw me put my phone up to the pickup of your guitar, transmit some noise, and it changed the sounds that were coming out of the pedal.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
I mean, that's cool. What these pedals allow you to do. It's phenomenal. I mean, I can't picture myself playing with anything else. I've yet to be disappointed by anything TC Electronic has put out. Even their Polytune tuner, where you just strum your guitar and it shows you the tunings for all 6 strings simultaneously. I mean, it's an awesome tuner. Everything TC Electronic does, I'm a huge fan of. So if you're a guitar player and you are looking for, there's nothing more customizable than their tone print line, pedals. And they've got delays and reverbs and choruses and flangers and tremolos. I mean, they've got the whole range. So yeah, check that out. What you got, Aaron?
I'm going to reco a book that was on my top 5 list that we didn't really cover. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and reco Gilead by Marilyn Robinson.
I've heard of that.
It's great. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, actually. So, and she's brilliant. So
I'm just curious, did Harry Potter make anywhere on that list?
It did not. Although it could have easily, but I chose not to do that.
You don't want to get any angry emails.
Not necessarily. I just think yeah, Harry Potter. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Just like most of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure most of our listeners are.
It's really great, but I just think Cormac McCarthy and St. Augustine and Flannery O'Connor edged it out.
It is hard.
What's her name? Who wrote that Harry Potter? Stephanie Meyer?
J.K.
No, oh my gosh. Whoa. I just did that.
Whoa, wow. You just did that.
I'm sorry.
My gosh, we are going
That is a Harry Potter sin.
We are going to get hate mail for that.
Yeah, we are.
Oh my gosh, we are totally getting hate mail for that.
Might be.
I may have to delete that out of the show.
You might have to. That was so bad. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
That was blasphemy.
That was blasphemy, in the highest order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but no, those were all really good choices. Dude, wow. I can't believe you just said that. I'm not even as much a Harry Potter fan as you, and I just find that blasphemous. All right, so before we start getting out of here, let's introduce the question of the week.
Question of the week.
Question of the week.
We should have a theme song. Question of the week.
I'm sure I can work on that. I'm sure the new closing track is going to have a lot more interesting sound bites to it. There might be some laugh tracks and some audience applauses. It might be very sitcom-y.
Yeah.
Which would be a lot of fun. That'd be really.
I'm cool with that.
That'd be really, really weird. But no, we'll definitely try to work some weird stuff in there. So the question of the week, like I said, if you want to contact us, you can get us on Facebook, like us on Facebook at Another Ascending Lark. You can follow us on Twitter at AALblog, or you can send us an email. If you get in touch with us, and we'll definitely repost this throughout the week. So you'll hear this throughout the week, and you'll get the chance to be reminded of it, interact with us. Send us a tweet, post a comment on Facebook. We will read your stuff on the show, and we will your Twitter handle and everything. We will get your opinions on the show, and if your opinion is good enough, we might actually bring you on the show, to further expound upon your opinion. We would definitely do that depending upon the topic. So the only thing is though, what is going to be our very first question of the week? Because this is the first one. We gotta make it count.
I'll leave that up to you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to punt that down the field to you.
Just punt that down the field. Just call an audible.
Yeah.
First question of the week. How about a scenario? Maybe a scenario for a question.
Okay.
So, Aaron.
Okay.
if you were, you're having a birthday party,
Okay.
your birthday party,
All right.
and you can get anybody to come to your show and sing happy birthday for you, wherever your party is.
Are you asking me now? Do I need to answer it now?
Don't answer it now.
Okay.
Answer it next week.
Okay.
But okay, so here's the first question.
It's not who you think.
That's why I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking about. Like, yeah. So the first question of the week for the very first installment of this segment, you get any artist of your choice to come sing "Happy Birthday" for you at your birthday party, and they'll also play a full private show for you and your guests. Who do you pick, and why? Let us know. Send us some tweets, send us some Facebook messages or some emails. We'll read them back to you. We'll read them back on the show next week, and we'll answer the question personally. Like, we're not going to answer it this week,
Yeah.
but we'll definitely have an answer for that question. Yeah, so we're looking forward to getting the opinions of others on the show and getting your voices on the record as well. So yeah, let us know. Let us know who you would want to sing at your birthday. Maybe it's already happened. If it's already happened and you're like your dream came true there, we definitely want to hear about that. Like, definitely let us know if your Disney dream has already come true there. But yeah, wow, this has been a really good episode. This is a lot of fun
it's a lot of
episode to not have a serious episode like we've had for the past several weeks. Aaron, thanks for taking time out of your crazy busy week to do this show. I really appreciate it, man.
No problem, man.
I really do appreciate it. We always want to take time, like every episode, just to point back to the gospel and the things that we talk about, like, and the things that we choose can either we will glorify something with the things that we choose, like in the way we choose. We can glorify ourselves, we can glorify other people, or whatever it might be, or we can glorify God. And when it comes to the gospel, the good news is that Jesus changes our desires to where glorifying God isn't necessarily a chore. Like, we enjoy pointing back to Christ. We enjoy pointing back to Him. And we enjoy changing our minds on things to where we give Jesus the glory and we give Jesus the praise. Because that's what we were made to do. We were made and originally created to worship God and to know Him and enjoy Him forever. But then we screwed that up, and that got all messed up. But Jesus came, lived the life that we should have lived, and died a death in our place so that He can make all things new and make all broken things fixed. And that includes the way we choose things. We don't choose out of selfish desires anymore. We choose because we've been given a new heart, transformed by the Holy Spirit. And so when it comes to like making lists, like, as subtle as it might be, like, are the lists that we make glorifying God? Like, do we point back to Jesus with the list with the top fives that we make, like, or do they point to something else? I don't know. Like, that's just a rhetorical question to think about. But yeah, thanks for listening in, guys. We're definitely thankful for those of you who tune in every week to listen to the show, and we're looking forward to getting you guys on the show here relatively soon. Again, another ascendinglark@gmail.com if you want to email, AALblog if you want to tweet us. Facebook is another ascending lark, but just for the time being, we'll give you plenty of heads up on when we're making those changes, and just be patient with us as we make those changes. They're going to be slow and kind of rolling out, but everything's going to be done by the month of July. So sometime in July, we'll be fully transitioned over, and we hope to be moving full steam ahead on giving you the best version of the closing track that you haven't heard, because I haven't heard it either, because we haven't done it yet. You guys have a wonderful and fantastic week. You pitched this to me yesterday. You pitched this to me yesterday, and I'm just like,
We did it. We did it.
what? No. Get out of my head, Dorothy Explorer. Get out of my head.
Sorry about that.